Okay, this is Liz Dolan here, and it's our first day of the new show, Safe for Work. And I'm here with Matt Ritter. It's your first day. Welcome. Tell me about the worst first day you've ever had in your career.
The worst first day I ever had was the first job I had after I left Big Law. I came out from New York and I was working out here as a writer's assistant. I got a job for a pretty successful producer.
Okay, good.
Or so I thought. We worked out the salary, which was pretty low, but par for the course, and all the other details. And location-wise, he said, we're going to be working from his home office. So I show up for work, and it turns out it was at his house. But when I say his house, I mean the one he grew up in as a child.
Really?
His parents' home.
Were his parents still in the home?
They were very much in the home.
Oh, my God, you're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. He was in his late 30s, so I guess, it's not that crazy, but...
No, it is not crazy.
Completely not what I was expecting,
Okay.
right? We're fully working from his parents' kitchen. It took me a half hour to even realize this was his parents' home. Because we're sitting there and I'm all like, oh, this is actually a big old house with a lot of pictures of you as a child on the fridge. That's kind of weird. And then all of a sudden his mom, I swear to God, walks in holding a tray of snacks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which would be amazing
Thanks,
if this was
Mom.
my high school job,
Yeah.
And then it hit me, right? And I was like, all right, I'm not going to say anything about it, And to top it off, his dad was retired. So his dad was just ambling about the house in dirty sweatpants.
Oh, wow.
And look, they were really nice. It wasn't that bad. It was just that it made me feel super duper unprofessional because my last job, I was working on the 39th floor of the Citigroup building in New York. And now I'm working at somebody's parents' house in Calabasas, and my parents are calling me oh, what's the office like? And I'm like, oh, it's nice. It's quaint. It's very quaint. So I guess the lesson there is when you take a new job, just make sure you swing by the office and get the specs before you actually agree to the job.
Well, here we are in the Wondery Studios. It's super professional, and I'm sure this first day is going to be way better than that one.
It's great, and somebody brought me snacks here too.
From Wondery, this is Safe for Work. Job stress, life relief. I'm Liz Dolan.
And I'm Matt Ritter.
On today's show, we'll be chatting with Rainn Wilson about his production company, Soul Pancake. I'm super excited about that. And one of his first days of work. And, of course, about playing Dwight on The Office, the world's most dreaded coworker.
Shoot!
But first, welcome to our first show. I think it's time for some introductions. Matt, of course, I know who you are. You're sitting right here, but the folks listening might not.
Well, if they don't, believe it or not, I'm a recovering corporate lawyer turned comedian and executive recruiter. And let me tell you something. I've worked in more crazy workplaces than I care to ever think about.
I want to hear all about them.
And we are going to do that. What about you, Liz?
Well, I've spent many years running marketing at big global organizations, including Nike, the Oprah Winfrey Network, and National Geographic channels. I've worked in a lot of different company cultures. I've had a lot of bosses, most of them good, some bad. I've been a boss for a long time. Mainly good, I think, but occasionally bad.
We're going to have to get you to dish on that.
Yes, totally. I like to confess all of my sins. Plus, I run a media company with my sisters. We produce podcasts and books as the Satellite Sisters. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about our show and what we're going to do here, Matt.
And then you guys can decide whether you even pay attention to anything that we say.
No, you must pay attention to everything that we say.
That's right, yes, pay
Because
attention.
our goal is to help you find happiness and contentment at work. The culture is so filled with people telling you how to crush it at work, how to get rich and successful. And, that's just not what we're interested in here. It's my experience after many years in many different workplaces that the essential difference between loving your job, between feeling excited about what you do every day and not, is really the people you work with. It's not so much the job as much as it is how well you communicate and collaborate with your colleagues. Workplaces can be super intense, super complicated, unexpected things happen, and we're never really trained on how to deal with all of that.
And we're not going to promise to make you richer or more beautiful or make you a master of the universe. Our hope here is that we make you happier, more fulfilled at work, and you know what? Just get you through to Friday.
Friday. So on this show, we're going to listen to your calls and questions. We're going to try to understand what's really important to you and maybe help you articulate what's really important to you. And then we're going to give you our 2 cents on how to get the best result for you personally and for your career. Each episode will also be talking to a guest. We'll have all kinds of amazing people, including business experts, people who've gone through fascinating career experiences, and some people who are just fun to talk to.
Okay. Well, now that that's all settled, how about we get some listener calls?
You ready for your first call, Matt?
Let's crush it.
No crushing. We're not crushing here.
Oh, okay, fine. Let's just help people and have some fun.
Yes.
Hello?
Oh, hey, is this Sarah?
Yeah, this is Sarah.
Sarah, it's Liz and Matt at Safe for Work. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi.
We are delighted to have you. So what's up, Sarah?
So I am in the process. I'm literally sitting in an empty apartment right now because I'm up and moving myself from San Diego up to the Bay Area for a new job.
That's exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It does mark the first time that I've moved for a job, though, especially a job that's kind of a big deal for me. So I'm curious as to what advice you guys have in terms of moving to a new city for a job and making the best first impression with your new team.
All those, the first day of school jitters, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I've gone through that many, many times. Well, let me talk about the workplace for a second. I'm sure you got hired because you're going to be great at your job, right, Sarah? So you're confident that you have the skills.
Yes.
I think lots of times when people walk into a new environment, they're so focused on getting the job done, nose to the grindstone kind of stuff, that they focus on, like, what does their boss want? And then what do they need to tell their subordinates to do? So in your case, will you have people reporting to you?
I don't, but I'm going to be project managing, so I've got a lot of people to wrestle around.
Okay, exactly. So that makes my advice even more relevant, because I always tell people, make sure you're paying attention to your peers and colleagues at the same level. Because I've watched people overlook that, making lots of transitions into new jobs and new companies in the past, where the people in the specific chain of command that they're in, they're like hyper focused on them. But you forget that you can learn a lot about the culture of a company and what works and what doesn't and what the other business priorities are by spending time talking to your colleagues, even if they are not directly related to the work that you do. But this is especially true if you have a project management kind of job. Your number one skill is going to be to build those kinds of connections with the people throughout the organization that are at your peer level. So don't overlook that. Get out and about, meet people, talk to people, even if they don't work on your project, would be my number one thing.
I agree with that. And I would add to that, don't just talk to them. It's your first day. Say, hey, can I take you out to lunch? And as you're chit-chatting over lunch, say, hey, anything you think I need to know about the company? It's my first day. I want to make a good impression. And I would also, look at some clues at the office of what kind of office you're going to. If you're not really sure on how things run around there and how they operate, there's always a few clues. Like I would say 2 or 3. One would be, hey, is everybody's doors open or closed? Are people talking at work or are they silent? Mm-hmm. Are people eating at their desk? These will kind of give you a hint as to what kind of workplace you're walking into. So you'll know, hey, maybe I shouldn't be super loud if everybody's quiet at that floor.
And what kind of business is this? Is this something where you're going to just be, it's screen time all the time, or where it will be collaboration face to face?
It's going to be a combo, but because our team is spread out all over the country, not to mention the world, then we're definitely going to still have a lot of screen time with online meetings and things like that too.
That's another thing about first impressions that I think people forget, that sometimes you're just typing to people. And it's just as important to be the self you want to be, to communicate in an authentic voice that way in your email communications or on the Slack channels or whatever it is, as it is the people that you bump into at the actual coffee maker. So trying to be your true self. Like if you walk in and you're the authentic Sarah on day one, then you can just stick with that as opposed to trying to be a certain kind of person in the beginning and then transition into your authentic self. I find that rarely works.
Yeah, it's like dating. You just be yourself and hopefully they'll love you for who you are.
And like dating, I would say, Matt, listening is even more important than talking.
Yes.
All right. So you're sitting in an empty apartment right now. It's go time. Congratulations and good luck. We want to hear back from you.
Thank you.
Hey, Kelly, this is Liz and Matt with Safe for Work. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
We are great. So I understand you've been having some issues with feedback in the workplace. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, no problem. So I work in finance for a Fortune 50 company, and I got promoted a little less than a year ago, which was awesome. But every few months or so since I got that promotion, I've been hearing and getting feedback, mostly in the line of needing to be more professional at work. Two recent examples were I commented to another coworker that a teammate of mine who was able to get some flexible scheduling, so maybe working from home 4 out of 5 days a week and only coming into the office 1 day a week was pretty lucky, and that our department really doesn't do flexible working very well. And then the other piece of, and so another manager overheard that, came to my manager, and it eventually made its way back to me that maybe I shouldn't have said that, or that I should basically mind my own business. And then the second time it happened, a manager overheard me on a Friday joking to my teammate that it might be a light day since our boss was out of the office that day. And so this feedback kind of just makes its way to me either through my manager, through my director. And I guess what I'm really wondering is, am I wrong in thinking these other managers are overreacting and kind of taking this 360 feedback too far? Or do I really need to cut out these sidebar conversations and try and rein it in?
Well, let me just say, first of all, I can empathize because I was the office jokester. I left my job as a lawyer to do comedy. So if anyone understands that desire to keep the workplace light, it's me. I was the guy who was joking around all the time. People would hang out. I was the office, the break room hero, let's just say. But I will say...
Every office has one.
Yeah, but I will say there were a couple of topics that I probably wouldn't have joked about. And from just quickly hearing what you're talking about, you know, the topics that you've chosen to kind of joke about are a little bit of danger areas because I guess what I would say is you're kind of cutting into the sacred cows of the workplace. Like, you know, when talking about working from home, like that's, if somebody had to ask for a work from home situation, like that's a very tough ask for them. And it's probably something that everybody, you know, has to kind of tread lightly on. So I would say, like, topic wise, if you want to make jokes, that's definitely an area that I would steer clear of because that's more like kind of passive aggressive talking badly about the workplace itself.
So it's not just jokester turf.
Yeah, I mean, Kelly, does that resonate what I'm saying? I mean, I'm a little. I guess I need to know more. You know, are the jokes that you got called out on, was it just those, or are you getting called out, you know, constantly anytime you joke around?
Yeah, I'd say those are the examples that stick out, but I'd say I feel like it's more personality based almost. Like I tend to be a little bit louder in the aisles, I would say, than my coworkers. There may be a group of us all around talking and laughing maybe on a Friday, but then it feels like I'm the one that's getting the feedback that, you know, I need to maybe button it up a little bit more. And so it's starting to feel like my personality is a bit of a liability, just in general.
You know, Kelly, this is Liz. That's what it sounded like to me, too, when I heard you talking about it and read your original letter. To me, this sounds like coded communication, and they're trying to tell you something important, but not doing it very well. They're picking on a few random things, and that they're trying to manage not your performance, which you say is good, but your personality and behavior. And that is never a good sign. When people say things to you like, we need you to be more professional, or in your letter, it was be more mature. If you've heard that more than once or twice, that is something that you really, really need to pay attention to. Because in my experience, sometimes you can manage people through their performance. You sit down and you say you need to do this better or you need to do that better. But when you get to the point where you're saying you just need to be a different person, that's really bad. And you really need to think about whether this is the natural home for you. Because I would never say, nobody should ever go into work and have to be a different person than they really are, right? So if you're outgoing and energetic in a department where they really frown upon that, then you just need to think about whether you're going to be satisfied having to edit yourself all the time. I would suggest that you won't be satisfied doing that.
Yeah, there's a lot of workplaces that I'm too loud for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I had to, and again, as a boss, I can remember one time having to manage someone who I just felt had a super negative personality, kind of the opposite of what you're describing, Kelly. And it's a terrible dilemma as a boss, because what are you going to do? Say like, well, could you just lighten up a little bit? Or you're no longer even talking about their performance. You're just talking about their overall demeanor in the office, which you can't really manage. Once I found myself trying to talk to employees about more their personality, I was like, oh, this marriage cannot be saved. That's kind of where I would come out as a boss.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I hear what you're saying. Like what Matt's saying is like, I can choose the things that I talk about, right?
Sure.
The things that I choose to engage in conversation about with my coworkers. And maybe what I can't choose is, the attitude with which I bring or kind of my vibe, right? So
right. You can't.
I need to play with that a little bit, but I totally hear what you're saying, Matt, about the certain topics that are, hey, if you're going to talk about them, maybe take it down to the coffee shop, right? Like out of earsight of managers and directors if you really need to vent, and then balancing that with still wanting to be who I am at work.
Yeah, totally. And I like your vibe. I feel like we would get along. But at the same time, I'm glad you're hearing what I'm saying because, maybe this workplace isn't for you, but even another workplace, those two examples probably wouldn't be okay, even in a cooler, more laid back vibe.
That's good advice. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate the advice. I think I knew it in my heart and in my head, but it's just good to hear it from someone else that I'm not crazy for wanting to be myself, but also keeping in mind if I want to move up in any organization that, there's that level of professionalism that can vibe with my personality if I find the right place.
You can do it. Okay.
I
Good
believe
luck.
in you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
This is Liz, and I run my own small business now, and I've run big global businesses in the past. And one thing I've learned is this: hands down, the hardest thing about running a company is hiring the right people. And the hardest thing about hiring the right people is finding the best candidates. ZipRecruiter knew there was a smarter way, so they built a platform that finds the right job candidate for you. ZipRecruiter learns what you're looking for, identifies people with the right experience, and invites them to apply for your job. These invitations have revolutionized how you find your next hire. In fact, 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. One of ZipRecruiter's great features is that they spotlight the strongest applications you receive, so you never miss a great match. Thank you, Zippy. That's so great because I used to miss a lot of them. The right candidates are out there. ZipRecruiter is how you find them. Right now, Safe for Work listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right. FREE free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/safe. That's ZipRecruiter.com/safe. One more time, to try it for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/safe. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Believe me, if you're anything like me, you're a dreamer, you've got big ideas, you know that the next big idea is the one, you just don't know how to share it with people. Well, now making your next move is easy thanks to Squarespace. Squarespace offers beautiful templates created by world-class designers. They have this powerful all-in-one platform and comes with 24/7 customer support. There's nothing to install or patch or upgrade. I am not a tech person, so this works great for me. I'm a creative. It's a wide range of creatives and people and businesses that are already using Squarespace as a way to present their ideas online. Now it's your turn. What are you waiting for? Just get out there. You've already thought it. You've already dreamt it. Now make it with a website from Squarespace. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And if you'd like to support this show and you want to hear more shows like it, then please, when you're ready to purchase, use the offer code SAFE to get 10% off on your first website or domain. That's squarespace.com, offer code SAFE.
Welcome back. Right now, we're very excited to have Rainn Wilson on today's show. Of course, we all know about Rainn's role in The Office, but in addition to that, he's written an autobiography called The Bassoon King, founded his own digital media company, Soul Pancake, and he's a podcaster himself. Rainn, thank you so much for being here on our first episode of Safe for Work.
Congratulations on the new podcast. Nice to be here.
Thanks. So what are you working on right now?
I'm in Chicago right now. I'm doing a play at the Steppenwolf Theater, which is kind of a dream for me. I went to high school in Chicago, and of course, Steppenwolf being a really famous theater. So I'm getting to work here, and it's really cool and scary.
That's great. Scary. What's so scary about it?
Well, it's
Don't you have this down by now? Come on.
It's a huge production, and it's a ton of lines and a lot of work. Theater is hard. TV is so easy. You roll up and they cook you breakfast and you have a handful of lines and you sit around most of the day and they treat you like a king. And if anyone complains about TV work, then just don't listen to them because it's the easiest job in the world. But theater is like really hard.
Okay, so it is our first episode. So we're talking a lot about like our worst or best first days of work. Do you have like a worst day of work story you want to share, or best first day?
I have a lot of really bad work stories, but I don't know if any of them happened on a first day of work.
Okay.
But I worked picking raspberries when I was a child, which was basically forced child labor.
Yes.
And
You didn't know that then, though.
I didn't know that then. I thought I was making some summer spending money. But when I look back on it, I was like, wait a minute, this is kind of child slavery.
Okay.
The berry farms in the Seattle area, they got around paying people by allowing you to, they would buy the flat of berries. So if you picked a flat of raspberries, they would pay you $1.25 for it. So you weren't on the payroll. And we were like 13, 14 years old. They would bus us in on a bus, and we would pick these flats of berries, and then they would pay us, by the flat. And it was basically child labor. I was basically like a little Pakistani boy sewing soccer ball.
But did it feel good to you at the time? Like that, was that your first real cash money kind of job?
Yeah, it was my first cash money kind of job. And I had a paper route for a while, but that stopped. Actually, one of the worst days of work was having to collect from my paper route and knock on the door. And then there was an enormous, very hairy, very naked man at the door. And I think I was 12. So that was a pretty bad day of work. But yeah,
Is that when you gave up
going back to
anything
the
that's door to
raspberries,
door?
we thought it was pretty fun. It was just, it was kind of like summer camp plus money, plus lots of hard work baking in the sun.
Well, your life now, you probably have a lot of different kinds of work choices than you had then.
Yes.
So tell me about Soul Pancake. So in addition to the live theater that you're doing right now, you have your own company. They do a lot of interesting things. I love that the motto at Soul Pancake is, we make stuff that matters. I think that's what everyone wants out of their work. What is it?
Yeah, so it's a digital media company. I started with some friends 8 years ago or so, and we wanted to do something cool and unique and positive on the internet, and we started it as a website, and that didn't really work so much, but we started making video content and kind of swiftly discovered we were much better at doing that, and so we started making kind of uplifting, human, inspiring videos that challenged us on a human level and dug into life's big questions. And that was how Soul Pancake began. And now we've got, 2.5, 3 million YouTube subscribers. And we do work with a lot of different brands and developing television shows and stuff like that. It's been an incredible roller coaster ride and a super fun journey being a part of it.
I really like that a lot of what Soul Pancake does is to explore and redefine like big, awesome words like spirituality and God and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's obviously super important to you. It's just so nice to see that you can weave all of that into your work life as well as your life. Yeah, I was thinking about some of the big issues we'll be dealing with on this show, and one of them is the word work itself. because I think people struggle with what their work should be, what is their life's calling, how much should they get out of work versus the rest of your life. So I was thinking maybe work is a word we need to redefine. Maybe try to make that more workable for people.
More workable. Ba-boom, boom. Nice.
So when you think about what your work means to you, how would you define that?
I think that, the best kind of work is a service to other people. So the best kind of work, and I think almost any kind of job that you do can help make the world a better place.
I think that's true.
I don't know how to redefine work, but I do know that when you view your work as service to others, to humanity, to your family, that it's very special.
Okay, so here we are. Matt and I are new on this job, advice givers here on Safe for Work. So if you don't mind, I wanted to get your advice for how we could get better at our jobs of helping people deal with the people at work better. Because a lot of what we do, I think a lot of the satisfaction at work, it's more of an EQ thing than an IQ thing, being able to get along with people, understand, and listen. So I'm going to give you an example of a letter we got, and you tell me what advice you would give this person.
Okay, good.
Okay, here we go. I have the world's most annoying coworker. He is a power-hungry suck-up who inserts himself into everything going on around the office. He is a rule follower to the extreme, and he is...
Let me just stop you right there for a second. Did Jim Halpert write this letter?
Yes, obviously I am describing Dwight Schrute.
Yes.
And... So, okay, Rainn Wilson, if Dwight Schrute was at the desk next to you, where do you begin to deal with someone like that in the workplace? It happens.
Oh my God, it totally happens. It's one of the reasons The Office was so successful is it's relatable. Everyone has had a boss like Michael Scott.
Yep.
I once worked at the Multiple Sclerosis Society doing special events fundraising, and I had a boss lean in way too close to me, look me in the eye and say, Rainn, I need someone in this job who, when I say jump, says, how high?
Oh,
and he said it without any irony at all, just like, and I was thinking, I was only 23 at the time. I was thinking, does this guy know he's a walking cliche? But he had no idea, just completely clueless.
Right.
I was not the guy for him because I'm not a how high can I jump kind of person. But
yeah, he had seen that in a movie or a TV show or something.
Exactly.
That's going to be my style of leadership.
How do you deal with Dwight Schrute in the workplace? I'm a fairly nice person, but I have no idea how to answer that question. I don't really know. I was out of the workplace by the time I was in my 30s. But I will say that there are toxic, annoying people in any situation that you go into. They're going to be at the gym. They're going to be at your church. They're going to be at family reunions. So it's more of a life philosophy of how you deal with people that trigger you and frustrate and upset you. So
right.
It's looking at the good qualities that person has. Because if you focus on the annoying qualities, you're going to drive yourself crazy every single day. So one positive kind of Oprah-esque way to deal with it might be to say, oh, well, this person does like the Seahawks and this person does have a good sense of humor, or this person, they can be counted on to get the job done at the end of the day. So you focus on whatever good qualities they might have.
Okay. All right. I think that's very, it's a wise long-term approach. It may or may not help you with the day-to-day, which is often what drives people crazy.
It's the best I got.
No, I like it. It's good. I was talking to a guy one time about on the issue of civility and just how people can be more civil. And I said, well, what's your definition of civility? And he said, well, civility is a combination of being calm, strong, and kind. And I thought, okay, that's That should be leadership too. That should be work. Like on any given day at work, I figure if I can be one of those, great. If I can be two of those, I'm winning.
Yeah.
And maybe three of those is when those days when you go home from work, you think, okay, that was really super satisfying. So that's sort of my go-to.
Calm,
short
strong, and
list.
kind. That's fantastic. Yeah. I'm lucky if I hit one or two of those in a day for a couple of hours. So
Yeah, I think that's true of most. It's certainly true of me, but it's a good goal.
the other option for an annoying coworker might be putting their stapler in Jell-O or any number of other annoying pranks just to keep you sane.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in today. We really appreciate it, Rainn.
Hey, thanks for having me on your show. Good luck with it. I can't wait to hear all the episodes.
I'm sure I'm not the only one who makes the same 3 or 4 things for dinner all the time. At my house, baked chicken breast plus a fistful of bag salad. Again. So that's why I love Plated. It's new ideas and great fresh ingredients. Such a relief from my normal, boring go-tos. Plated offers 20 chef-designed recipes every week and delivers everything you need to cook right to your door. This week, I made the tomato chickpea stew. It was delish. It's a Turkish recipe with zucchini, brown rice, crispy shallots, along with the tomatoes and chickpeas. And Plated solves another thing I am personally terrible at. I never have the right spices on hand. I make stuff, and when it calls for things like coriander or cumin or something, I just skip it. So it's just another reason why everything I make always tastes the same. But not with Plated. I got the little spice mix bag that had everything. Cumin, coriander. What else do we have in here? Cinnamon, cayenne pepper. It was all there for me. Thank you, Plated. Plated sources artisanal items and high-quality ingredients, including sustainably raised meats and organic produce when possible. Plus, everything comes in just the right portions, so you have just what you need to cook. No more, no less. Discover your ideal dinner experience. Go to plated.com/safe to get 25% off your first 4 weeks for a limited time only. Terms apply. See plated.com/safe for details. That's plated.com/safe. Before moving on, we want to hear your burning workplace questions, and we want you to call in to get advice directly from us and workplace experts we're going to have on the show.
So call us at 424-224-5711 or email us your questions and your contact information to safe@wondery.com. Here on Safe for Work, we're going to be doing a few segments that rotate from episode to episode. Today, we're doing a segment we call Work Pop. There are so many scenes from movies, TV shows, and other areas of pop culture that show people at work. So in Work Pop, we're going to play a clip from a movie or a TV show and then talk about how we might handle the situation ourselves. Or are there any real-life lessons from the scene? In honor of our buddy Rainn Wilson, we decided to highlight some classic clips from The Office.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Here we go. In this clip, one of our favorite annoying coworkers of all time, Dwight Schrute, is shredding documents while Jim, whose desk is right next to Dwight's, is on a call with a client.
Sorry, Mr. Deckard. I think I'm losing you. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Hold on one sec. I don't know. Hold on one second. Do you really have to do that right now?
Yes, I do. I should have done this weeks ago, actually.
Mr. Deckard. Hello? Oh, that's it. Perfect. So what I was saying... Hello? Thanks, Dwight.
Retaliation. Tit for tit.
That is not the expression.
Well, it should be.
I gotta ask you, Liz, how many times have you had to deal with a coworker like that who just knew how to push your buttons and make you crazy?
Well, I've never had to go tit for tit with someone. I'll tell you that. But yes, oh my God, yes, I've had that. And that's what, that's where headphones come in, of course. You just need the headphones in your workspace. Or I had a policy that I just called DNR, just do not respond. Try to be in your bubble. Do not acknowledge. Do not engage. Because I find when it's someone like that, what they want is to get your
Yeah.
engagement, right? They just want you to
I've had
respond.
so many of those too. I had one of those pen clickers. So I ended up just
yeah.
buying them a whole bunch of pens that don't do the clicking. I've just had just people who sound like paper shredders. So I just started doing this thing where I called my quiet time and I just closed my eyes and they got the message. I'd just be like, I'm meditating right now.
Yes, I would do that. I had this one colleague in particular. I knew that any meeting that we were in together, voices would escalate, anger would come out, and I would have kind of a deep cleansing breath session in my office, not just for me, but with all of the people in my department who would also be attending the meeting. It's like we had to pregame the meeting because we would pregame it in my office like, okay, everybody, let's remember, do not go, when the voices all start to go up, let's just try to see if we can at least control ourselves. And I would say it worked less than half the time. Just because they do get to you.
Yeah.
They do know how to get
no,
under
they
your
get to
skin.
you. Maybe you should just go with a whoopee cushion on their desk and start doing some pranks like The Office or one of those.
I am
things.
not a prankster.
No.
And I would have to say I like pranks in the office. I'm not a fan of those. It's fine on the scripted Office, but in real life, have you ever worked in an office where there was time spent on pranks?
Yeah, it wasn't really a great place to work.
Yeah, I'm guessing that.
It was not. It's usually not like. I think there's probably a correlation between how many pranks you do in a workplace
Yes.
and how crappy that workplace really
I
is.
would totally agree with that. Yes. And Dunder Mifflin is the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another clip.
Michael, what time should I be arriving?
Dwight, it's couples only. And besides, I only have 6 wine glasses. So it will be me and Jan and him and Jim. And Angela and Andy.
Does it bother me that I wasn't invited to Michael's dinner party?
Oh, poor Dwight. He's crying because he got left out of Michael's dinner party. But that does lead to an interesting topic. How do you handle it when your coworkers are socializing without you? Do you let people know it bothers you? And I know this has never happened to you. Personally.
No. I think it's happened to everyone. I mean, this one actually makes me cry for real because I
Yeah.
think we've all been in work situations where we're not one of the cool kids. You know?
I decided to be the social chair as an insecurity so that I could never not be invited. 'cause
Oh,
I
okay, good
always
strategy.
Threw the best parties.
Okay, so you're the party monster in
Yeah, I
every
was always
office?
like, hey guys, just so you know, this is what we're doing
Okay.
after work. I think as a chip on my shoulder in case they were even thinking about doing anything without me.
Okay. I never knew that the party monster was born out of insecurity.
Oh, totally.
I just knew that I never wanted to be friends with the party monster. I would just sort of try to hide so that I did not know what was actually happening.
It was born
so
out
that
of
I
the-
didn't have to say I wasn't going.
It's born out of the middle school insecurity of not being invited to a party and having a friend say, oh, you were on the back of the list that he wrote of people he should invite.
Oh,
Yeah. And I think ever since then, I've always wanted to take the lead on the office socializing.
okay, Matt. That is deep.
Sad,
yes,
too.
that actually, that has impacted you for the rest of your life.
completely. And it will do so. We should go get drinks after this.
I feel like the after hours socializing is kind of a everyone should get invited thing. I know that seems really obvious and kind of Pollyanna, but come on, if we're all going out, then we're all going out and you can't sort of pick and choose. But if you're inviting people over to your home, that is sticky because then it's not a work thing, it's a social thing. And some of the people you're with at work are your friends in real life. So it's hard. You got to make sure that people aren't feeling really
Yeah.
hurt by that kind of thing.
Loose lips sink ships. If you're doing a couples night and the single people in the office didn't get invited, just don't tell them. Don't show up being like first thing Monday morning, like, oh, that was so fun.
Yeah.
We should do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. As the single person, can I just say, what's with couples night? Why is that any better or different? I'm happy to come, just me, myself, and I.
It's actually pretty boring. I think we should actually invite, I think this is good advice. The couples bring some of the single people over. They mix it up a little. God.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. There we have a solution to that one.
Okay, people, listen
Okay,
up.
everybody,
I have an announcement to make. Fraud was committed in.
Do you have an announcement?
I was making it.
Everybody, David Wallace and I have talked, and we have decided to promote Jim to the position of co-manager
Co-manager of what?
of your butt. And your butt, and your butt, and your butt, all of the Scranton Branch butts.
What's happening to you, Michael?
What's happening to me? I am also being promoted to co-manager. We will be co-managers together.
So this is actually a hilarious show, but this is a serious problem, I think, Liz. How does an office handle promotions / demotions here? Is a co-manager ever a good idea?
Anything is a red flag that this company is on a sleigh ride to hell. That would be my experience being in lots of different kinds of companies. To me, it's the ultimate sign that management is not willing to make a decision. Management is not willing to really manage the people. There's no leadership being shown about who really should be the boss. And I hate to tell you, Michael, but when you get assigned big picture stuff, that is not a job. You know?
This just reminds me of like Survivor or something. Every time I hear people do this in the office place, what your manager is basically doing is throwing a knife in the middle of the room and going, hey, you guys just play nice.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out. There's two knives.
It's great TV comedy. It is not good business.
No, it's a terrible, terrible business idea. Yeah, and I think it's funny, too, with the titles, co-manager. We're getting into so many ridiculous titles in the workplace that it is harder to discern who's below and above whom. Sometimes you're at an office and you're like, did I just get promoted or demoted? I don't even know. I'm the regional vice president, but they're the growth manager, growth co-manager. Head of platform?
No, that's true. I think we live in a business environment where there are a lot of completely bogus titles.
Yeah.
But that raises the question of, is your title necessarily meant to just indicate your place in the pecking order? Maybe it doesn't need to be that. I don't know. As long as people in the workplace understand like who's in charge, then not every title has to indicate like, oh, I'm 3.
Yeah. I need to know who I'm above and below personally.
You do?
I need a number system. I'm a 7, you're a 5. Talk to me when you're a 7.
Okay. That's just a little
That's
more
how they do it at
insecurity
Google,
you might
I
want to get over.
In case you missed anything from this episode, just tap the cover art to check out the notes from today's show.
You'll also find our email address, safe@wondery.com, and some great offers from our sponsors, Plated, ZipRecruiter, Squarespace, and Brooklinen. This episode was hosted by me, Liz Dolan, Boss Emeritus and Satellite Sister, and Matt Ritter, comedian, recovering lawyer, and executive recruiter. Our original theme song is composed by Martin Blanco, audio engineering by Misha Stanton, produced by Cameron Cal, executive produced by Eileen King and Marcia Louie, created and executive produced by Hernan Lopez for Wondery. Remember, workplaces can feel crazy,
but you don't have to.